The sound of gunfire shattered the quiet of the upscale art gallery. Zara Okafor ducked behind the corner of a marble pedestal, heart pounding so violently she thought it would burst through her chest. Screams filled the room as masked men stormed the gala, shoving guests to the ground. Crystal glasses shattered. Champagne splashed across priceless paintings. Amid the chaos, a man, bruised, bleeding, desperate, stumbled toward her. His eyes, dark and haunted, locked onto hers. "I just need one night with you," he gasped, clutching her wrist like his life depended on it. Zara froze. The words made no sense, but the panic in his voice made her obey instinctively. Before she could ask questions, he pulled her toward the exit she hadn't even realized she'd been looking for. Gunshots rang closer. She stumbled over her heels, barely keeping up. Who are you? Why are you even here?" she whispered, almost breathless from fear and the adrenaline surging through her veins. "No time. They'll kill me if I'm caught," he replied, dragging her into the gallery's service corridor. "Trust me, please." The masked men ransacked the room, their boots clicking against the polished floors. Zara wanted to scream, to run, to do something, but every fiber of her being was screaming that she was trapped. She tried to pull free, but his grip was iron. "You have no idea what's happening," he muttered, glancing back. "One night, just one night. That's all I'm asking." Zara's mind raced. He sounded insane, yet something in the tremor of his voice told her he wasn't lying. They ducked into a small maintenance door, and he slammed it shut behind them, pressing her against the wall. Her chest heaved. "One night? What the hell does that even mean?" "I can't explain now." His voice was low, almost a growl. "But if you help me tonight, I can protect you. And yourself. Do you want to live?" The question hit her harder than the gunshots. She nodded stiffly, realizing the gravity of the situation. She didn't know him. She didn't trust him. But the alternative was worse than any stranger she could imagine. As they crept through dimly lit service corridors, he introduced himself reluctantly. "Tae-min," he said. "I don't usually need anyone's help, but tonight, I have no choice." Zara didn't respond immediately. Her fingers fumbled at the doorknob leading to the service exit. "Why me?" she finally asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he shoved her forward. "Just move. Don't think. Survive first. Questions later." They burst out onto the streets of Gangnam, neon lights flashing above them. The crisp night air hit Zara like a slap, cooling her sweat but doing nothing for her racing heart. The city around them seemed oblivious, cars whizzing past, people laughing, unaware that death had just stormed through the gallery minutes ago. They didn't stop running until the sounds of pursuit faded behind them. Only then did he finally release her hand, letting her collapse against a wall. Her breaths came in uneven gasps. "You're insane," she finally whispered, staring at him. "Do you know how crazy this looks? How insane this is?" He ignored her. His eyes darted around the empty street. "We're not safe yet. Do you want to survive or keep arguing?" Zara bit back her retort, realizing he was right. Survival first. Questions could come later. She squared her shoulders and followed him to a parked car, hidden behind a side street cafe. The vehicle was sleek, black, and unmarked. He tossed her the keys. "Drive," he ordered. "Fast. Don't make mistakes." Her hands shook as she gripped the wheel, heart hammering as adrenaline still coursed through her veins. She could barely see past the blur of neon lights and the occasional flash of gunfire reflecting off the wet pavement. Behind them, she thought she saw shadows moving, but each time she turned her head, there was nothing, except the stranger sitting next to her, bruised, bleeding, and somehow unnervingly calm. They drove in tense silence. Zara finally risked a glance at him. He had a sharp jaw, dark eyes full of intensity, and a bruise blooming across his cheek. Despite the wounds, there was a controlled power about him that made her stomach twist. You're not going to tell me what's going on, she asked, voice tight. I will eventually, but tonight isn't for explanations. His eyes held hers for a long moment. Tonight is survival. One night. That's all I need. She swallowed hard. The words sounded almost intimate, though the situation was anything but. She wanted to push him, to demand answers, but the memory of gunmen storming the gallery reminded her that she had no leverage. Minutes passed, the cityscape blurring past as adrenaline ebbed slowly. Finally, he broke the silence. I'm being hunted, he said quietly, by my own brother. Zara blinked. Your brother? That's insane. Why would your brother? He shook his head. Do-hyun wants me dead, and everyone in my path eliminated. That painting you have at the gallery, it's not just art. It contains evidence of crimes, evidence that could ruin him. That's why they stormed your gallery. Her stomach dropped. Evidence? What kind of evidence? He hesitated. I'll explain everything, but tonight isn't the night for explanations. I need one night with you, Zara. I need someone I can trust. Someone who can survive this with me. The words hit her like ice. He wasn't asking for love. He wasn't asking for anything romantic. He was asking for survival. And by some twisted fate, he had chosen her. The car turned into a narrow alley and stopped. He turned to her. We need to lay low. There's a safe house nearby. Zara's hands were still trembling, but she nodded. Fine. Lead the way. But you owe me answers. He gave a small, tight smile. I'll tell you everything when it's safe. They stepped out of the car and hurried down a side street. The air was tense, electric. Every shadow could be a threat. Zara's mind raced. Why her? How did she even get involved in something so dangerous? And who was this man who could command fear and yet rely on her to survive? The safe house was a small apartment tucked above an unassuming bookstore. He picked the lock quickly, ushering her inside. The place was sparse but secure. Security cameras disabled, doors reinforced. He finally allowed himself to slump into a chair, wincing as he pressed his palm to a bruise on his temple. Zara dropped onto the couch, finally letting herself breathe. Okay, she said quietly. You tell me everything now. He stared at her, then shook his head. Not yet. There's no time. You need to rest. Stay alert. Trust me, I'll explain everything. I promise. But right now, we survive. One night. Just one night. Zara looked at him, her mind swirling. She wanted to scream, to cry, to question everything. But the truth was her instincts told her to obey. Survival came first. She had no choice. And deep down, somewhere in the pit of her chest, she knew this night would change everything, forever. Before the tension could subside, a sharp beep sounded from the street below. She and Tae-min exchanged a glance. They found us, he whispered. Zara's stomach turned. What do we do? Move, he said, grabbing her hand again. We run. Trust me. Survive first. One night, that's all. And as they disappeared into the night, the city around them oblivious to the deadly chase, Zara realized she had no idea what she had just stepped into, or who she had just agreed to trust. But one thing was certain. Nothing would ever be the same again. They moved through narrow streets like shadows, hugging the darkness, ears straining for any sign of pursuit. Zara's pulse refused to slow. Her mind kept running through the gallery. Broken glass, screaming guests, gunfire. And now she was on the run with a stranger who claimed to need one night with her. It was absurd, terrifying, and yet she couldn't deny a strange pull toward him. Tell me something, she said quietly as they ducked behind a parked van. Why me? Out of everyone there, why me? Tae-min glanced at her, his eyes flickering with something unreadable. Because you can survive this, and because I know you won't panic. Most people would have screamed and run, or worse. He paused. You have a fire in you. Zara clenched her fists. I'm not a hero. You don't have to be, he said softly. Just alive. That's enough. They waited, pressing themselves against the cold metal of the van. Every distant sound made her jump. Somewhere in the alley, a motorbike revved, and she stiffened. Tae-min grabbed her arm, gently, guiding her to keep low. You're doing fine, he whispered. Fine. She wasn't fine, but she couldn't let him see her falter. Survival required control, even if her hands shook. After what felt like hours, but was likely only minutes, Tae-min led her down another alley to a side street where a small black hatchback waited. He slid in behind the wheel without looking at her. Drive. Follow the street lights. Don't stop for anyone or anything. Zara swallowed her fear. You're calm for someone who's being hunted. He gave a humorless smirk. I've had practice. But you have no idea what's coming. The city blurred past as they sped through Gangnam. Their silence was thick, broken only by the occasional shout in the distance or a siren wailing far away. She risked a glance at him again. Bruises, a split lip, a swelling eyebrow. He'd been in worse fights than this night alone could account for. And yet he carried himself like a predator, calm, calculating, and impossibly alive. Finally, he slowed the car, pulling into the shadows of a quiet street. We're close, he said. Safe for now. But listen carefully. Tonight we have one goal. Survive until dawn. After that, we deal with everything else. Zara exhaled sharply, tension draining just enough to make her knees weak. Everything else. He hesitated, jaw tight. My family, my brother, the people who want me dead. And you now. Somehow, you're tangled in all of it. She blinked. Me? Why would I be? You were at the gallery when it happened, he interrupted. You saw things. They saw you. And more than that, I know your name. I know who you really are, Zara Kem. Her stomach dropped. What? How do you? I don't have time to explain fully, he said, cutting her off. We move or they find us. That's all that matters right now. They moved again, this time on foot, slipping into the narrow, deserted alleys near an abandoned warehouse district. The streetlights flickered, casting long shadows over their hurried steps. Zara couldn't stop glancing over her shoulder. Every passing car, every flicker of movement could be them coming for them. Finally, they reached a nondescript door, tucked beneath a rusted fire escape. Tae-min produced a key card from his jacket pocket. Safe house, he said simply. You're going to want to see this. It's secure. Nothing in or out without me knowing. Inside, the apartment was stark but functional. Sparse furniture, reinforced windows, multiple security monitors. For the first time, Zara allowed herself to exhale completely. You're serious about all this, aren't you? She asked, sinking onto a couch. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Deadly serious. And I'll need you to be serious, too. One mistake tonight and we both die. Zara looked at him. And this one night, that's what it's about? Just survival. Yes, he said, meeting her gaze. One night. I don't need love. I don't need loyalty. I need someone who can last through it. And you? I think you can. The weight of the night pressed on her chest. She had spent years controlling her own fate, but nothing like this. Nothing that could demand her trust, her instinct, and her courage simultaneously. Yet somehow she felt drawn. Not to him. Not yet. But to the intensity of the moment, the danger, the unspoken promise that if they survived this night, nothing could break them. They settled into tense silence for a few minutes, listening to distant city sounds. Then a soft ping came from one of the monitors. Tae-min's eyes narrowed. They're close. Too close. I can hear movement outside. Cars, footsteps, they're trying to flush us out. Zara's hands went cold. We can't just sit here. You're right, he said. We leave. Now. They moved again, winding through the back alleys. He handed her a small black jacket. Wear this. Stay hidden. Trust me. Zara's heart pounded, but she obeyed. They slipped through shadows, heartbeats synchronized with their quick steps. Then came the first real confrontation. A figure appeared, stepping into the alley with a flashlight. Tae-min grabbed her arm and pulled her into a doorway, pressing her against the wall. "Who are you?" the figure demanded, voice menacing. "Wrong alley," Tae-min muttered under his breath. Then, louder, "Go back the way you came." The figure hesitated, then, like a predator sensing weakness, advanced. Tae-min's hand shot out, grabbing a metal pipe from the ground. In seconds, it was over. The figure lay unconscious, groaning. Zara's breath shook. "You're insane. Absolutely insane." He gave her a crooked smile. Insane? Maybe. Alive? Definitely. And right now, that's all that matters. They continued, now both aware that dawn might not save them. Every shadow was a threat, every noise a signal. But with each step, Zara realized she was learning to read him, to anticipate his moves, to trust instincts she didn't know she had. And slowly, something dangerous, fragile, and unspoken began to grow between them. A connection forged in the fires of fear and survival. By the time they reached a small, abandoned subway entrance, Zara's knees ached from running, and her chest burned from holding her breath. Tae-min turned to her. "Listen," he said quietly, almost tenderly. "Tonight, I will tell you everything. But you need to promise me one thing." "What?" she whispered. "Don't panic. Don't run. Trust me. One night, that's all I need. After that, you can walk away. But survive this night, and I'll guarantee your life. One night. That's it." Zara swallowed. Her mind raced. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to push back, to demand answers. And yet she nodded. Somehow, she knew that tonight nothing else mattered. Survival first. One night. Only one night. A sudden noise echoed from deeper in the tunnels. Footsteps. Fast, urgent, and coming closer. Tae-min grabbed her hand. "Move. Now." They slipped into the subway. Shadows swallowed them. Every heartbeat, every step, every whisper carried the weight of life and death. And somewhere in the darkness, Zara realized one night wasn't going to be enough. If you're already on the edge of your seat, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and comment below your predictions, because the night is just getting started and you don't want to miss a second of this story. The subway tunnels were cold, damp, and silent except for their hurried footsteps. Zara's chest heaved, and every sound seemed amplified. The drip of water, the scrape of shoes on metal, the distant echo of a train long gone. Tae-min's grip on her hand was firm, steady, grounding her. "Do you ever breathe?" she whispered, her voice trembling. He didn't answer immediately. His eyes scanned every shadow, every corner. "I breathe," he finally said. "But not when I'm with you. Not tonight." Her stomach twisted. She didn't know why she felt drawn to him, why the terror and adrenaline made her heart pound, not just from fear, but from something else. Something dangerous. They stopped in a small, abandoned subway station. Tae-min pressed his back to the wall and gestured for her to do the same. "We need to talk. Sit tight, listen carefully. There's more at stake than just tonight." Zara crouched down, still catching her breath. "I'm listening." He exhaled, grimacing. "My brother, Do-hyun. He's not just a rival. He's dangerous. He doesn't just want me dead. He wants anyone connected to me eliminated. And tonight that includes you." Her eyes widened. "Me? I'm not involved in any of this." "Until tonight you weren't," he said. "But you've seen me. You've touched the painting. You've been dragged into this chaos. That makes you a threat. And he'll use anything, anyone to get what he wants." Zara swallowed hard, the reality sinking in. She wanted to pull back, to run, but her legs refused to move. She couldn't. She was already too far in. Tae-min continued, softer now. "That painting, it's more than art. Hidden inside, it is proof of Do-hyun's crimes. Crimes that could ruin him completely. And if he knows it exists, well, he'll stop at nothing to destroy it." Her mind raced. Crimes? What crimes? He shook his head. Later. Right now, survival. One night, Zara. One night is all I ask. Trust me and we survive. Don't, and you'll see what happens to those who cross him. The words hung in the air like smoke. Fear pooled in her stomach, but underneath it was a strange thrill, a surge of adrenaline that made her feel alive. She nodded, swallowing her panic. Okay, I trust you. For tonight. Tae-min's jaw tightened, almost imperceptibly. Good. That's all I need. One night. That's the rule. A sudden sound echoed from the tunnels. A faint shuffle. Then a low hiss. Both froze. Shadows flickered on the far wall. They're close, he whispered, pressing a finger to his lips. Stay silent. Zara's pulse raced as footsteps approached. A single figure emerged, flashlight swinging. A masked man. Tae-min motioned for her to stay low. The man stopped, scanning the area. Then, without warning, he lunged. Tae-min was faster. He grabbed the man's arm, twisted it behind his back, and forced him to the ground. The masked figure grunted, then went limp. Zara's hands trembled. You're incredible, she breathed. He gave a small, tight smile. Incredible enough to survive this night. That's all that matters. They moved deeper into the tunnels, hearts pounding, until they reached a small, unused train car. Tae-min pried open a hatch and ushered her inside. It smelled of dust and rust, but it was a temporary refuge. Zara sank against the wall, shaking. I can't believe I'm in a train car with a man I just met, running for our lives. Tae-min crouched beside her. Believe it. You're alive. And for now, that's what matters. She looked at him, really looked. Bruises, blood, exhaustion. Yet his eyes held an intensity she couldn't ignore. Why me, Tae-min? Why not someone else? Why not a bodyguard or anyone else? He hesitated, jaw tight. Because I know you can survive, and because, I don't know, there's something about you I trust. Something about tonight. I can't explain it. Her breath caught. She wanted to argue, wanted to pull away, but the truth was undeniable. She did trust him, and yet the thought terrified her. Minutes passed. Then he spoke again, quieter, almost painfully. There's something you should know. Something about your past and mine. They're connected in ways neither of us realized. Zara's heart stopped. Connected? How? He exhaled slowly. Do-hyun orchestrated a lot of what brought you here. The gallery, your life, your past, he's been pulling strings. You're more involved than you think. And he'll stop at nothing to destroy both of us. She shook her head. I don't understand. You will. But not tonight, he said firmly. Tonight, survive with me. One night. That's all I need. The tension in the air was unbearable. Every second they stayed in that train car was a gamble. But then came the first real emotional crack, the first soft, unguarded moment between them. Zara swallowed hard. I'm scared, she admitted, voice barely a whisper. I've never been this scared, and yet I feel, I don't know, like I'm supposed to be here with you. Tae-min's eyes softened, just for a moment. I know, he said. I feel it too. But we can't let it distract us. Not yet. She nodded, biting her lip to stop herself from saying more. Because the next moment the hatch above creaked. They froze. Footsteps, many footsteps, descended into the subway car. They found us, he whispered. His hand went to her arm. Stay calm. Follow my lead. The masked men swarmed in. Tae-min moved like lightning, fist striking, a knee here, a kick there. Zara, fueled by fear and adrenaline, grabbed a metal rod from the floor, striking the nearest man and sending him sprawling. She had no idea where the courage came from, but it surged through her, fierce and untamed. By the time the chaos subsided, they were battered, bruised, and gasping for breath, but alive. Tae-min looked at her, admiration flashing in his eyes. You're a fighter, he said simply. I'm just trying to survive, she whispered, shaking. No, he said firmly. You're more than that. You're alive. And that's all that matters tonight. For a moment, they sat in silence, listening to the distant echoes of the city above. Then Tae-min leaned closer. Tomorrow you might regret ever stepping into this. But tonight we're in this together. One night only. Zara swallowed, her mind spinning. One night with a man she barely knew, running from people who wanted them dead, discovering secrets about herself and him she couldn't even begin to understand. And yet, in the quiet after the chaos, there was a strange, dangerous intimacy between them. Somewhere deep in her chest, Zara realized the night was far from over, and that one night might be more than either of them had bargained for. The silence in the abandoned subway car was almost deafening after the skirmish. Zara's breaths came in ragged gasps, her knuckles bruised from the fight. Tae-min's chest rose and fell rapidly, sweat mixing with the grime on his face. For a brief moment, neither moved, both too exhausted to think, too alive to rest. Then Tae-min's eyes narrowed. We need to move. Now. They're regrouping. Do-hyun won't let this go so easily. Zara's stomach dropped. Do-hyun, he's still out there? Tae-min didn't answer. Instead, he grabbed her hand, pulling her up and led her deeper into the tunnels. The shadows seemed alive, twisting, waiting for them to slip. I don't understand, Zara whispered, her voice trembling. Why me? Why tonight? He stopped abruptly, turning to face her. Because you survived. Because you fought. Because... His voice softened, almost faltering. Because there's something about tonight we can't ignore. But not now. Not here. They reached a rusted ladder leading to an emergency exit. Tae-min checked the street above cautiously before signaling her to climb. The city at night sprawled before them. Bright, indifferent, oblivious to the danger stalking them. Once on the rooftop, the cool air hit them. Zara took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. I feel like I've been running forever, she said, voice shaking. You have, Tae-min admitted. And we're not done. Not by a long shot. Suddenly, the silence shattered. Tires screeched. A black SUV skidded across the street below, headlights slicing through the darkness. Do-hyun's men. And, at the wheel, a figure they both recognized from earlier. Zara froze. They found us. They never left, Tae-min said grimly. We need a distraction. Before she could ask what he meant, he grabbed a flare from his pocket, slamming it into the ground. The bright red light illuminated the rooftop in stark, blinding flashes. Tires skidded below. Screams echoed up from the street. Tae-min seized her hand, yanking her toward the fire escape that led to the next building. Zara's mind was spinning. One night, just one night. How could it ever be enough? She muttered under her breath. As they jumped onto the adjacent rooftop, Tae-min's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, face tightening. It's him. Who? Do-hyun. He knows we're here. Her heart sank. How is that possible? Tae-min didn't answer. Instead, he pulled her down into the shadow of a rooftop air vent, pressing his lips to her ear. Stay silent. Don't move. Watch everything. One wrong step, and it's over. Seconds stretched into minutes. From below, shouts erupted. Cars honked. The chaos of the city became a deadly symphony. Finally, Tae-min spoke again, his voice barely a whisper. We have to split up for a few minutes. You follow the fire escape on the east side. I'll lure them away. We meet at the corner by the river. One night, Zara. One night is all we have to survive this. Zara's hand shook. I don't know if I can. You can, he said firmly, gripping her shoulders. You already have. Trust me. Run when I give the signal. Before she could argue further, he sprinted across the rooftop, drawing the attention of the pursuing men. Gunfire erupted below. Zara pressed herself against the vent, teeth clenched, heart hammering. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but she waited, counting, watching, breath barely making a sound. Finally, the coast seemed clear. She climbed down the fire escape, the city lights washing over her in a harsh glare. Every step was measured, careful, each one a gamble. Her mind kept replaying Tae-min's words, the intensity in his eyes, the dangerous pull she couldn't deny. As she reached the corner by the river, a sense of relief washed over her. The river reflected the neon lights, calm and indifferent. But then movement. A shadow detached itself from the alley. Slow, deliberate. Zara's stomach dropped. "Zara," a familiar voice said, cold and controlled. She turned, and there he was. Not Tae-min, not an ally. Do-hyun, you really thought you could escape me tonight? His lips curved into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Your little friend here, he can't save you, and neither can you. Zara's breath caught. Her body felt frozen, caught between panic and disbelief. What would he want? Do-hyun stepped closer, each movement deliberate, predatory. Everything, he said simply. Your secrets. His secrets. This city, these people, everything I can control, I will. And you, he tilted his head, studying her. You are the perfect pawn. Zara's chest tightened. Tae-min, where is he? She demanded, fear and desperation rising in equal measure. Do-hyun's smile widened. He's busy, but don't worry. I'll find him. I always do. Before she could respond, a sudden explosion of noise erupted behind her. Gunfire, screams, the screech of tires, Tae-min's diversion. But instead of running toward her, the chaos drew him in the opposite direction. Zara's heart sank. Her instincts screamed to move, to flee. But Do-hyun was too close, too calculated. Her mind raced, panic clawing at her. One night, that's all they were supposed to have. One night to survive. And now it was slipping through her fingers. Do-hyun's hand shot out, gripping her arm. Cold, unyielding. Her pulse spiked, terror gripping her entire body. You can try to fight, he said, voice low, dangerous. But this is only the beginning. Zara swallowed hard, terror and determination mixing into a cocktail of adrenaline. She knew she had to survive. She had to make it through the night. Tae-min had taught her that. Survival first. One night. But the weight of Do-hyun's presence, the threat of imminent capture, and the uncertainty of what he planned next pressed down on her chest like a vice. She tried to wrench her arm free, to run, but Do-hyun's grip was iron. Her mind screamed for an escape, a miracle, anything. And in that moment, as the city hummed below, she realized the night was far from over. The night wasn't just survival anymore. It was a trap, and she was at the center. Do-hyun leaned in closer, eyes gleaming. Enjoy your survival while it lasts, Zara, because by sunrise nothing will be the same. Zara's breaths came in shallow gasps. Her mind raced. She thought of Tae-min, the flare, the chaos, the fleeting moments of connection and trust. One night, that's all they had to make it. But now, the one night was slipping through their fingers. She looked into Do-hyun's eyes, cold, unyielding, and whispered under her breath, I won't let him win. Do-hyun smirked. We'll see. And as he dragged her toward the dark alley where shadows swallowed them, there is revealed a dark figure watching from a nearby rooftop, phone in hand, recording everything. A soft whisper came from the shadow. The game is just beginning. Did Zara make it? What will happen to Tae-min? Comment below your theories. Hit like and don't forget to subscribe, because part 2 is coming and you do not want to miss it.